Hello, everyone. Welcome to Felicitations. This is me, Felicia Day, and this is my podcast. And I have to tell y'all, there's some really exciting stuff going on here in this podcast. First of all, I got new cover art made. Okay, wait. First of all, I think I'm gonna take the beta off the podcast. It's number 80. I feel like I might know what I'm doing by now. Not, but I am committing to the podcast at this. But I have some exciting things that I've done and or will be doing with the podcast going forward. Okay, so number one, taking the beta off of it. Number two, this was live recorded, but I do it once a month in front of an audience, and it's super fun. I also do a couple of other things with the Geeks membership club. I do a Creativity Tuesdays where I generally just read tarot cards for people in the audience, and it's super fun. And I also have a talk with my brother, Ryan Day, who did Co-optitude with me. And we do that live, and we talk a lot with the chat during that. And I do a book club with Bonnie Burton, who is amazing. She used to do Vaginal Fantasy Book Club with me, and she's really funny, and we do a monthly book club. Of those 4 hangouts, I do an audio hangout every week, in addition to doing undressing with Tom Lang. So it's a lot, but I actually find it to be manageable right now, and I'm enjoying myself quite a bit. So, first of all, we could never release the hangout with my brother. Ever, ever, ever. It's just not safe for work. It's not safe for, not that I have a sponsor now, but were I to ever get like Casper Mattress is great, not sponsored by, but if I were ever to get a sponsor to help me pay for my at least hosting fees, I would not be able to advertise against my brother's profane mouth. Okay. Number 2, I just don't want that in the world. That's private. Geeks members only. Second of all, the creativity is really fun, but it's actually me just interacting with the audience a lot, and I don't know how amusing that would be. If you're a Geeks member, you can download any of the recordings from the Discord area so that you can listen to anything later. So, it's an MP3 format, so you could download this, you could download the Ryan thing. I don't know why you want to do that, but anyway. So, my idea was that I would love to get more people involved in the book club. And I know that some people do not like the Geeks project because they just have a principled problem with crypto. I know that people who know what I'm doing with it, it's a very low key membership. It's a low bar to admission. You can support me through it. It's a fun experiment with low stakes. I'm giving people a lot of creativity and effort and work in exchange for your, membership. So I feel really good about the club, but I totally understand some people are not into it. But I really want people to be a part of the book club because Bonnie is so fun. We are reading so many wonderful books, and we talk about stuff that I'd love a bigger audience to listen to. And so I'm going to be uploading that Geeks Book Club recording. It's going to be a little late. I'm going to start uploading them, and so we get the backlog up. But I will be uploading those once a month to the feed once I kind of get all the ones that I want to upload to the feed out. I particularly want to upload the Wheel of Time one just because we watched the TV show and we talked about the first book, and I just think that that's a podcast that a lot of people would like to hear. I also, in addition to that, I get asked all the time to interview people. And I know if you listen to Felicitations, you probably are familiar with a couple of people I have interviewed. Chuck Wendig, the author, especially authors, I think it's really hard for them to get their books out and to get people to even be aware that new books are coming out. So I get contacted a lot by PR people to interview authors. And like there are a lot of authors that I just would love to chat with, but Felicitations I always felt was really confused and not on brand, that sometimes I ramble to myself and sometimes I talk to people, and it felt very not disjointed. I talked with someone a couple months ago, just randomly, who was like, "Well, why don't you put Undressing and Felicitations in one feed?" And I was like, "What?" Because there's this weird perception that podcasts need to be one thing only. The feed is inviolate, kind of like your YouTube channel. Like it's just uh, new media is weird. But the idea really struck me, and I actually for a while planned to combine Undressing and Felicitations to one feed. But then I felt like I think Undressing is its own thing, and so but Felicitations is something different. It's really personal to me. It's really fun. And what better way to incorporate that than just be like, "Hey, once a month I'm gonna interview somebody." And so that's what's gonna happen. This month, I'm going to be interviewing an author named Kat Valente, who is incredible. She has so many wonderful books out. She has a new book coming out the month end of the month, and so I was like, "Oh, perfect timing." So I cannot promise you, but my goal every month is to have 3 podcasts in this podcast feed. So that's more than one. That's gonna be the Felicitations ranty rant, one interview with someone I think is interesting. Can't promise all authors. It probably will be mostly authors because there are a lot of people I wanna talk to in the book world, and the Geeks Book Club. So, it's 2 more than the 1 that you got. So, you're gonna get 3 a month. And whether you're a Geeks Club member or not, you can, participate in the book club by listening and reading along. You just can't chat in the Discord, about the book with the other members because I feel like, well, there are members to the club, and I think that's a little bit better. So, anyway, I would love your feedback. I would love your ear holes. Hopefully, there's a lot of fun content that will be had. And I think this is the first time I've announced this on this feed. The Undressing podcast is now a combined feed. So we uploaded all the Bridgerton to the Undressing feed. We undressed The Witcher season 2. We're undressing Bridgerton season 2 now. After that, we're going to be doing some one-off movies. We definitely want to do Willow for some reason, is I think, or Lady Hawk. Tom Lake is obsessed with Lady Hawk. I want to undress his NCIS episode when it comes out. So we're going to just do a bunch of fun, different things with that feed. And I'm really excited. And then we'll go into a short. We'll never do like a 22 episode show, but we will do like 8 episodes. So if you're not really interested in Bridgerton, you don't have to listen to, 8 weeks. And we are trying to release every week depending on our work schedule. So that was a lot of recap, but I really hope that I don't feel overwhelmed by it. And I feel like because at a certain point, you have to look at your schedule and be like, do I need to be doing this anymore? Or should I just stop so I can make room for something else? And I've been on the fence about podcasts for a while. As I said, some people support me with shout outs through the Geeks coin. Other than that, I'm kind of on my own, but I can't quit it. And so I just really like the communication format. I like having that. I think I like just being able to tell everybody what I'm doing every month. And I love the idea of interviewing one person a month. And it's not adding so much to my schedule that it's making me freaked out, which I'm very easily freaked out. So anyway, that's what's happening. Um, what else? Yeah, that's it. That's the housekeeping for all the podcasts. I have so the one challenge of doing a podcast once a month is that I have a lot to tell y'all about, and I did not realize how much I have had released. This is just the stuff that's released that I'm giving a shout out if you'd like to listen to it, and I will put the links in the show notes. Number 1, we have the new Undressing feed. Please subscribe over there if you want to listen. I did an interview with Mayim Biyalik. It was a wonderful podcast interview about creativity, feminism, cultivating your sense of play. She's a great interviewer. Wonderful one. It's on YouTube, but also you could download it wherever you get podcasts. I guested again as Genlevia on Hello from the Magic Tavern. That just came out. And I will give you an NSFW warning. It's almost as dirty as a hangout with my brother. Almost. It's not there because, whew, my brother dirty. I also there was a video released by NASA. It's a wonderful, wonderful video that was, I think, shot 2.5 years ago. So because of COVID, it got super delayed. Rachel Bloom is in it, Will Wheaton, a robot, several wonderful guest stars. I really think it's a wonderful video educating people on what exoplanets are and a bunch of other space stuff. And it was so fun to host. So I suggest you guys go over there and watch that. Again, the link is in the show notes. It's a YouTube video. And that's it. So that's all I've done. Well, almost. I'll get to it. The last month, I did the first con of the year. I did a Supernatural Vegas con, and it was so fun to see my friends. It was not fun to go to Vegas. I will tell you that Vegas, because it was my first time out, and I'm boosted. I probably need another boost, but they haven't announced those for people without immunocompromised conditions, or if you're over 50, please go get your extra booster, please. If it's been 4 months, I think, or 5 months, talk to your doctor. But I was really startled by you land in Vegas. Most of the mask mandates were not dropped at the time, and nobody was wearing a mask. Also, it was the first time I smelled cigarette smoke in 2 years, and no judgy, but yeah, kind of judgy. It's gross, okay? I do not like the smell. I don't like the smell of, pot either, or weed. It's not my favorite. I don't like any kind of smoke. I like smoked fish. I love me some good smoked herring. 'Cause I'm crazy. 'Cause I'm crazy. But I did have dinner with some friends of mine. I met one of my mods who you might know, Sarah the Pearl. She got me very drunk. I had half a martini and I accidentally bought $250 worth of cheese and and dessert afterwards when I had dinner with my friends, and I treated everyone for some reason. I don't know. But anyway, it was super fun. I saw Misha Collins, I saw Sam Smith, I saw Rob Benedict, I saw lovely Ruth Connell, I saw wow, there were just so many wonderful people there and the band. It did feel like I missed them. I hadn't seen them in a year probably, and it was a really nice homecoming, and all of us kinda got together and just had a great it was great chatting and meeting fans too. So, it was really fun to get out, and I do have some conventions that I'm doing later this year. I am going to Australia. All hell breaks loose. You can get tickets at thehubproductions.com. I'm going because Misha at Supernatural Vegas Con was like, "You need to come to Australia with us." And it's some kind of very wild in and out. We go 1 day to Sydney, then fly to Melbourne, and then do a day in Melbourne, all in the same weekend. So it seems like it's gonna be a sleep disruptor, but at the same time, I'm gonna be with my friends, so it sounds really, really, really fun. I also am going to be at Phoenix Fan Fusion at the end of May before that. And what else got announced? I don't have any more announcements to make, but I'm doing 3 more stateside and 1 more international later this year. That's it. That's it. I'm going to my favorite places and going to one place I've never been to before. So I'm actually kind of excited. It feels a little bit like a homecoming, although the world is very strange now. People are aggressive drivers. People are nervous. Everything's so expensive. It's just, I feel like the uncertainty of the last 2 years just keeps on rolling. And yeah, so we'll see. I did go off my Lexapro a month and a half ago. I think I talked about it. And I'm noticing some side effects. I'm noticing some things about my emotional roller coasterness and anxiety that I'm not very happy to see back. And so I have an appointment with a psychiatrist who specializes in women issues. And I'm really excited to speak with her about whether I should go back on my Lexapro, whether I can manage it with something else. I have some side effects. The two side effects of Lexapro that I really, really don't like, I have extremely lucid dreams. So it interrupts my REM cycle in a way that I am not rested in the morning because I'm literally watching a movie in my head and I grind my jaw. So it's not helping me sleep. And yet I felt like I had gravity in myself for the first time in my life when I was on it. Like I wasn't just flying off the handle when something nerve wracking happened. I was on set the other day and something threw me off and I couldn't recover. And it actually almost gave me a panic attack because that's how I was before, but I'd forgotten how I was like that. And especially in a performance situation as an actor or a host or whatever, it's really um, disheartening to go backwards in a way. But at the same time, my sleep is better. I feel like I have a lot more colors to my emotions. So I just, I'm excited to speak to a professional. And I just want to encourage all of you out there if you are, whatever it is that you're dealing with in a mental play, you don't have to, you could experiment. You could figure out alternatives to being. There are ways through therapy, there are ways through medication that you can find some solutions so you're not trapped in your own body sometimes. So yeah, I'm kind of wrestling with it, and I'm excited to see what they. And by the time I have another pop felicitations, I will have made a decision on their advisement. So we'll see what happens. I have also this month hosted a Gish mini hunt, which was super fun. Again, Misha asked me to do that. We had a lot of business. Misha really, I mean, we had he's a great guy. He's really, really smart. If you haven't read his poetry book, it actually is very profound, and I made fun of him for that. I also did oh, wow. Okay, I'm just gonna go through it. And I mean, I'm not kidding. On top of all this, in the last month and streaming, keeping my streaming pretty regularly, I did a video game and video game voice I'm so incredibly excited about. 2 audio projects I have in development. They're gonna start recording or be in production in the next month or so. One of them it won't even be out until next year, but I'm so excited for it because it's finally getting going. And I had an exciting on-camera job that I cannot talk about now, but again, you'll know, I think, in a month or so. So lots of really cool events. Unfortunately, I had to spend a whole week buffing my head I spent hundreds of dollars on my head to get ready for this on-camera thing. I had to cut my hair, I had to color it, I had to get my skin done, eyelashes, I had to work out. I hired my trainer to come in 2 times. I think I lost, 1 pound. I look great total. It is really hard to be on camera. And even more discouraging, and I think this is going off the Lexapro, is that I'm super focused on how I present myself on social media. I found myself falling into that trap the last couple days because I was like looking at my Instagram feed. I'm like, whoa, look at these other people's Instagram feeds. They look presentable, Felicia. Nobody, none of these people would have their hair uncombed and be in a 3-day-old t-shirt. You should not post that stuff. And then I was like, I got to hire a photographer to come in here and take better pictures of me because sad but true, the number of likes I get on a photo if I look fancy is like 5 to 10 times me just kind of being myself. So then I started getting in a negative feedback loop about all that. And the sad part is it is part of my business, but it isn't at the same time. And I was able to, when I was on Lexapro, not care at all about that and just kind of be. And unfortunately, now that I'm off it, I in real life and online, I'm kind of like have that sort of desperate, like, please like me kind of thing. And so I'm aware of it, which I would never have been aware of had I not been on Lexapro for 2 years. So I do feel very grateful for that because I have a self-awareness about the things that would just have driven me, but now I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting. Why are you reacting like that?" "Oh, you weren't reacting like that for 2 years, and now you're noticing that this is your response. It's not healthy." So I feel like that is, a really positive thing to have that self-awareness, and hopefully it pays off in the end. It makes me less neurotic. Just for the record, I'm not gonna be combing my hair, all right? I will take pictures of it when I pay to get it done nice, and you'll get that on the feed. Shout okay, so oh, wow, in addition to all that, okay, I did get a colonoscopy and an endoscopy, and those were really fun. Actually, it is really fun to have somebody put you to sleep and put an IV in you, and you're asleep in 2 seconds. It would be I mean, my dream is to have an off switch just to be able to turn myself off to sleep and then turn myself off back on again. So um, that was 100% just very exciting for me. I did not have anything wrong with my colon. It was a squeaky clean colon. I do have a hiatal hernia, which contributes to my acid reflux, and I have a wheat sensitivity. They actually scrape the inside, I guess, the colon or something like that. I also have SIBO. So the people who made fun of me for spending another $300 because it wasn't covered by insurance to do a SIBO test, hey, hello, justified, hashtag justified. I have SIBO, which is like an overgrowth. Basically, it just messes up your body and it causes like bloating and all this stuff. I also am lactose intolerant. So I found a bunch of stuff that I can't eat, which is not fun for me. And I don't know what to do about it because I'm not giving up and I have to give up sugar. Sugar gives me acid reflux. So the doctor was like, you need to avoid all of your trigger foods for a while. And if not, you're going to have to go on an anti-acid kind of medication, which I hate being on because they make me feel like I can't digest my stomach, my food. So, anywho, ugh, I'm gonna get lactose pills just so I can have cheese. Other than that, I can give up milk. That's fine. Bread is really hard for me. I love cooking, but I'm not gluten. I don't have celiac, so I can eat a cupcake occasionally and just pay the consequences. So I don't know. It is what it is, but I wanna encourage everyone, if you're having any problems with your lower intestine, and your butt, or your stomach, get it checked out. It is important to catch things early because if you don't, then it gets really out of control and you have to have more extreme measures or it sets you up for something really bad later in life, so it's good to check all that out. I also, last but not least, I wrote a newsletter this month. I do wanna apologize, but I haven't been able to get to it. I just haven't. And this year, it's the first one this year, and I had to write it even though I didn't have the time because I'm also on a I've been writing all month. I'm on a book deadline, and it is slow going because of all the other stuff that I'm doing. It is really difficult, and I was supposed to turn in a draft May 1st, and it's not gonna happen, and I'm kind of freaking out because I do not miss deadlines, but I just don't see a situation where I can turn it in, so I'm gonna see. I I don't know. So, but I had to write a newsletter about 10 years of Geek and Sundry. So April 2nd was the 10th year anniversary of my company, Geek and Sundry. And I wrote, if you would like to read it, it's at felicitations.substack.com. I will put a link in the show notes. I just couldn't stop thinking about somehow writing about it. And listen, it didn't get millions of views. It's kind of old news, and yet it's so formative to me. And when I look back, I'm so proud of the work that I did and the careers I started and the energy that I put out in the world. It was never like the most successful, like business, quote unquote. But for me, it represented a world that I love very dearly and gave people opportunity and allowed me to do a lot of really cool things for, a good 7 years. I was working with the company. And so I am grateful to that. Very grateful. And unfortunately, I had to leave it. And so if you were interested in any of that, I couldn't really go into the details of why I left. A lot of that I can't really talk about specifics, but some of it did have to do with my baby, who is now 5, and all of that. And yeah, it's really funny. They say I did. I also did an author chat with Jay McGonigal, who wrote a brand new book called. Um, oh my God, now I'm blanking on her book. Anyway, it's a new book, and her book is about. She's a futurist, and she works at a futurist organization, and they sit around thinking about like doing thought experiments, thinking about what's going to happen in the world, predicting things that happen. She did an experiment in 2008, and the thought game, the game was that, she had people imagine that there was a respiratory disease that got released as a pandemic and how people would react to it, and it's so fascinating because people were calling her in 2020, and they were like, "What were the results of your game?" It's just astonishing. She's such a bright, wonderful person, and it is called Imaginable. Thank you, chat. It's called Imaginable by Jay McGonigal, and I this book really gave me well, first of all, it made me panic because she's challenging you throughout the whole book to kind of think of yourself in 10 years and kind of training your brain to think in a futurist kind of way. Also, she gives you wonderful thought experiments like, what if food were prescribed to you by a doctor and you got it for free from the government? What if? And some of these are very pie in the sky, very like, wow, wouldn't it be groovy to live in a utopia? And at the same time, she points out that some of these experiments do actually happen in this world. So it's really the work of futurists and a lot of the psychology that she has in this book are really it's really really interesting. And so I highly recommend the book. It is definitely an optimist look, and it also encourages you to use the futurist thinking to make yourself more optimistic about the world. And I did come away from it feeling a little bit more empowered and a little bit more encouraged to think just not right in front of my nose, which I have lived all my life like. I actually got a little bit of a panic attack when I started trying to think in the future because I think that was part of the reason why I wasn't a violinist because I knew what would happen. I kind of knew what the path I would be on. I would kind of be doing the same thing in 10 years that I was doing at the time. I would be in the symphony. I would be playing gigs everywhere. I would probably be teaching a little bit. I might have a family. Who knows? I have never been one who wanted to know where I'd be somewhere. I love the roll of the dice taking me some new direction. And that is kind of quintessentially Los Angeles and specifically Hollywood. And there's no doubt in my mind that the fact that I feel really abused, like nobody will put a ring on it, especially with TV shows. They use me and then they kind of kill me off and move on. But at the same time, I don't know if I want to be whenever I've had to in the past sign a contract. And when you're an actor and you almost get a job as a regular on a TV show, you have to, before you go and audition 2 or 3 characters for every character for the network, you have to sign a contract saying that you'll do the show for 7 years before you go and do that last audition when they choose between 2 or 3 people. And that has always terrified me. So I feel like maybe, that maybe I'm ready for that kind of long-term thinking because again, I think the last 2 years has taught me that I deserve as a person to have regularity and stability and show up for myself rather than always be at the whim of whoever comes along and decides they want to do something with me, which is kind of how I put and I know I've done a lot of empowering things in my life, but ironically, it's come from sometimes a very disempowered place, just waiting for someone to come up and be like, "Here's an opportunity, Felicia. You want to do it?" I'm like, "Great. I'm wonderful. I love it." So, yeah, the future will happen no matter what, but I think I was really interested in the concept of imaginable where people, the more you do think about the future and picture it in detail, the better you are able to cope depression and anxiety wise when it actually happens. So anyway, I just yeah, wanted to share that. So that has been my month. It was a lot. I just dumped a lot on you, and I really appreciate you listening. Just a couple things. If you would like to have a text alert on new things I do, I please subscribe to 310-510-6191. I actually put a lot of work into putting people in communities there. So you can actually, when you after you put subscribe and are signed up, you can actually type different words and I can put you in different categories. So if you type Geeks, Geex, you'll get updates on Geeks. If you put Twitch, if you put podcasts, if you put everything, you will get everything. So you don't have to be bothered all the time, especially if you're not interested in Twitch streams or Geeks events or whatever. But it's a nice way to be able to remind. I think I have over 1,000 people there now. Just remind you when I'm going live, when I have something new, and all of that. So it's very exciting. Also, we have some shout outs. If you'd like to get a shout out on the podcast and support me while I do this, basically pay for my hosting fees. It's rally.io/creator/geeks. We have a couple of shout outs. We have Chris Berkinbine from A Dash of Science podcast. A Dash of Science podcast. Big fan of everything you do and how much work you have done being a part of creating/normalizing online show content. You are honestly one of my heroes in content creation and looking forward to reading/watching your future work. Thank you, Chris. I'm gonna check out A Dash of Science podcast. That sounds wonderful. I can use a dash of science. We also have another shout out. Greetings, Felicia. Just wanted to say thanks for all that you do. It's graciously appreciated. You're the bestest. Random Dude 951. And as always, the wonderful Cleesmill has a wonderfully written shout out. Felicitations is like getting extra sprinkles on a cupcake. It always makes me smile, laugh, and is the bright spot of my day. Don't forget the sprinkles. Life's all about extra sprinkles. Maybe even a pineapple on a stick fruit basket. You can have your cake and eat it too, Felicia. Here's to exploring more of the Greek alphabet with you with the news that you might be moving out of beta. Yeah, Cleesmill. You must have heard me. I think I said it on a stream last week. Thank you. Well, thanks very much. Thanks for supporting all that. I really enjoy doing this, and I'm just excited I finally got matching art. You'll notice when the interviews go up and the Geeks Book Club goes up, I actually got custom art and all of that. If you are a Geeks member, just as a side, I'm gonna be rolling out the logo in the next month, so at least you guys will know what it looks like. There's gonna be lots more new wonderful things happening, and I'm working on a bigger project with Rally, which is a creative project I've wanted to do for a while, and they're gonna allow me to do it with the support of Geeks. So it's exciting. So thank you so much for being a part of it. If you are, and if not, I love you still. All right. Also a shout out for that Geeks Book Club for April. The book is Iron Widow by Xiran Zhao, and it's really cool. It's like a feminist mech book. It was supposed to be one of the best books of 2021, and I've had it next to my bed for a while, so I'm excited we're picking it. A lot of libraries have it. And so I will be uploading that after we record it, or you can listen to it live and add your questions and stuff on the Geeks Book Club Discord channel. All right. So I was trying to think of what did you consume this month, Felicia? I didn't consume anything. I was so behind on everything. The book, I barely got All the Birds in the Sky read by Charlie Jane Anders for the last book club. And I now am reading Iron Widow, and that is it. I have to get back on books. So I want to apologize for that. I am going to be picking a new era to read about history-wise because I love my nonfiction. I really do. So I'm kind of debating whether to read stuff about the French Revolution or ancient Rome, the collapse of Rome. So I'm kind of up in the air. I listened to Revolutions podcast. If you have not listened to that, it is the most thorough, fascinating podcast about revolutions. And there's a 50-part French Revolution podcast that I actually listened to all of. And I could not, it is so fascinating what that era brought. It is true. And also I do want to, I'm kind of interested in the history of Japan because I'm really not very clear on a lot of that. And that's something that I've been going over with my daughter because she loves yokai. There's a great series of books called Yokai Attacks and Ninjas Attack and Yordei Attack. So it's a really fun written book with great graphics, and she loves yokai so much. So we've been reading through it, and I've been really tickled by just reading about Japanese history. It's another area. So I will be picking a cool book in that area, and that'll be my next nonfiction project, and I will let you know as soon as I can. So, yeah, so I'm sorry that I'm down on the books. I also am really behind on TV. I know Stranger Things is coming out with a new season soon, and so I was catching up on that, season 3. God, that show is so good. And so I've been doing that, and I need to catch up on Umbrella Academy. There's a lot coming out this summer, and I feel like I kind of dropped the ball on like the last half of a couple of seasons. So I'm trying to catch up and I'm doing cleanup. And so, oh, also Gilded Age ended just the way it ended. I don't know. Oh, that show. That show reminds me of you know the rice paper that is wrapped around Japanese candies. It's like so tasteless, but I love the texture so much that I cannot stop watching it, and that's Gilded Age for me. It's just not very good, but I love it, and it's just it's just a guilty pleasure. So, I don't know. I don't know, y'all. So, I will get up on the books, I will try to be, up on the TV. My games are the same, I've been playing Core Keeper and God of War and Potion Craft. I did a couple of charity streams with a couple people who supported some kids charities, a school charity that I did, and which was very fun to play with the community. Um, we have a sponsored stream of DeMeo, the PC edition, on April 14th with the guild. Me and Amy and Jeff and Sandeep will be playing from 12 to 3 p.m. DeMeo, we played it on VR before, but now they're releasing a PC version. I'm really excited because it's essentially like playing D&D, and you can play 4 players at once. So I'm pretty excited to do it. Um, so anyway, I hope to get my media refreshed and more interesting next month. But unfortunately, I am going on vacation. I'm going to Mexico. Yo via yo viaja yo yo va a viajar a Mexico. Uh, um, próxima semana. My Duolingo. I need to get an actual. I mean, I'm doing level 3 of I'm doing level 3 of Duolingo, and I'm doing Memorize at the same time. So I'm doing Memorize, Duolingo, and Bilingual, which is reading, and I'm getting a lot of vocabulary, some grammar. My ability to speak is almost 0. So I definitely need to get some oral stimulation. No, that sounded weird. I need to get a tutor. And I heard that if you go on this website called italki, you can hire some tutors to talk with you, and there are all sorts of price levels, I think. So I think I'm gonna get someone 2 to 3 times a week because my daughter is starting Spanish immersion in June, and so I don't want her to get so far ahead of me that she's gonna stomp me, but I wanna keep up. So I'm really excited. I've never been to Mexico. And, I have that whole American, oh no, it's dangerous. And I'm like, it's not that dangerous. And it looks like a beautiful country. I cannot wait to go. I want to go to Mexico City next. So I'm pretty excited to study more Spanish and get to know the culture and have my first exposure and also be on a beach and not have the disaster of Hawaii happen again, where, um, yeah, there was just a lot that went down, starting with the tsunami. So hopefully, no tsunami for Puerto Vallarta next weekend. Okay. Well, I guess I'll get into some questions because I got some great ones this week. If you would like to leave me a question or have me answer a question, please leave it on the Discord in the Felicia Adventures channel and put a hashtag felicitations in your note. My wonderful mod, Sean Sandaluki, look, picks them up and puts them in a spreadsheet for me. So I go in and I browse and I pull a bunch of wonderful questions out every month. If you want to use Twitter, you can use hashtag felicitations there as well. Either work. I am really happy to get your questions and all of that for this monthly What's Up with Felicia podcast. Garuda X17, what's up? What is your go-to karaoke song? Have I answered this before? I feel like it's the Fievel song. It's the one where the Fievel the mouse somewhere out there beneath the cloudy sky. Someone someone's thinking of me and loving me tonight. But I sing it like that, super overdramatic. I think that one is my favorite because you can kind of cheese it. I have a phobia of people who sing karaoke well. I don't like them because I can't take myself seriously and I can't actually settle inside myself to be earnest in anything I do because I want to beat you to the joke at my expense. So I will make fun of myself first before you do every time. I know it's a problem, but it just is what it is. So I was very excited to whenever I do karaoke, I am excited to get up there and be a cheese ball. Toto by Africa is an awesome one. I do love Jessie by or is that Journey or Jessie's Girl? What is a Journey? There's a Journey song I love singing. Come to you with open arms. That one? I love that one too. If I'm drunk enough to want to be a little bit singing out, that's it. That's Open Arms. That's the one I do. So those are the two. Jessie's Girl is Rick Springfield. Okay. I gotta be corrected. Whatever. Next question. Thanks, Gerda. Richard Gagnon from Twitter asks, have you ever looked for whether you have unclaimed property? It appears you have a couple $100 in state's database that you might not have received. You could see that you have a couple $100 in the state database. Okay. Listen. This is a good thing because my friend Sandeep Parikh, who played Zabu, recently had a friend, an assistant, or I don't know who it was, but he ran a search for all the guildies, and we all had some money there. So I went and I got some money. It was like a couple $100, but I had to order a new social security card because they require proof that it's you, and I couldn't find it. So it's actually quite easy to get a new social security card, y'all. I got it within a week, which is very nice. But I got a couple $100. So thanks to Sandeep, and it's so strange, Richard, that you bring that up. Did you do the search for Sandeep? Or it's just a weird coincidence? Yeah, it was really cool. So I encourage you, I don't know if every state in the country does this, but if you had a check that went to an old address or a wrong address or a mislabeled address, anyway, you might have some money there. I did during the guild days. The Knights of Good, which is the company that owns the guild, it had a significant amount of money from an ad deal that we never got paid from. And when we found it, we were like, woo, look at this. We can pay our bills this year. It was really, really a wonderful thing. And I had forgotten about it. So definitely make a note of that and look it up. Okay, what is Dr. Ramblings on Twitter asks, what is your favorite junk food to eat during or after gaming? Oh, well, Dr. Ramblings, my favorite, if you're going to go actual favorite, I love corn nuts more than anything. I love the way they crunch. I love them. The picante flavor corn nuts. I also love kettle corn. I love the kettle corn pop chips. You know, they're like kind of like popcorn chips. I love those. And I also love Cool Ranch Doritos. Now, in actuality, what I actually eat now, because I can't eat any of that because of my stomach issues, I eat prunes. I do eat prunes. Listen, because of my SIBO, I have lower intestinal issues. So I have to encourage everything to get out. So I have prunes. You guys know more about me than you ever needed to know. But yes, I eat prunes. Sometimes I eat like nut and seed bars. And generally, I don't eat after 6 p.m. So the only time I would eat would be at lunch, my lunch streams. Nacho cheddar prunes would be a gift and a hurl, both of those. So thanks for rubbing it in, Dr. Ramblings. I have not eaten. I mean, the last time I ate after 6 p.m. was when I went to Vegas. My mom got me drunk and I ordered 200, it was like 250 with a tip. I treated everybody. I was just like, I'm paying. I was like, what are you doing? But I was inebriated for the first time in years. I'm not talking 3 years. I had not had a drink and I had half a lychee martini that I was fed by one of my moderators who's supposed to protect me. And I bought 2 cheese plates and a charcuterie plate and 3 baked Alaskas. It was pretty cool to see 3 baked Alaskas go up in flames, though. I will tell you that. All right, next question. Cleves Mill asks, with working from home all the time, I'm considering an all-electric car. Felicia, you've mentioned before about driving one. Do you have any advice on those, Felicia? Yes, I do. Cleves Mill, my partner has an electric car. Last year got an Audi, one of those Audi sedans. It is a beautiful car. The bad thing about that car is that it's so nice compared to my 2014 Prius. I have a lot of envy and I refuse to buy a new car because the prices are too high right now. Also, my car works. Why should I get a new car? Although I am kind of ashamed that the paint job looks kind of ratchet. It's not great. Anyway, the car is so beautiful. And I recently, when I went to Vegas, I got picked up in a Tesla and I got picked up in a Mustang, and both electric. I got taken to from the airport in the Mustang electric SUV, and then I got taken to the airport in the Tesla. I would say of all those cars, the Audi is by far nicer than any of them. The the electronic interface, of course, is so nice in the Tesla because it looks like you can just hook your Xbox up and play video games while you're driving, yes. But the Audi is so comfortable inside, it's so beautiful, and I'm not kidding, you can go from 0 to 60. It makes me zoom, and it's bad because my Prius has the worst pickup ever, so I drive like a granny because I know I can't pull out in front of anybody. The Audi, oh boy, it is so fun to drive. I never was into sports cars or fancy cars at all, but I get in that car and I have a lead foot and it is fun. So, I just want to, do a shout out for that car, it's just a good car. I would highly recommend getting an electric if you don't go on long road trips. Sometimes it gets a little hinky when I'm down to, like, 10 miles and I'm like, "Oh, where am I gonna plug in?" But if you have to plan a little bit ahead, and if you plan ahead, it's wonderful because especially with gas prices going on right now, I have solar. So essentially, I just charge the car and I go, and it's so self-sufficient. I feel so empowered by it and I feel self-righteous. And you get special parking spaces at the mall. So I love, love, love the electric, and I need a new car as soon as supply chain corrects itself and it's not just Wild West out there for cars. I'm going to get a plug-in hybrid because I think, especially for like if you're in a big city, I believe that I really want the Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid because I have a plug in my house and that'll give you 40 miles. And essentially 40 miles anywhere within Los Angeles is plenty. So I mean, I have 34,000 miles on my 2014 Prius. Like, I don't drive. I don't like driving, and I don't drive. I've done, like, 2 road trips on it in totality in all the years. So, I kinda wanna sell it just because I know that used cars are going for so much right now, but I don't think I could find the car that I want. So, if I plug it in, I could plug it in, I make the 40 miles, then I could switch to the gas if I'm doing a road trip. So, 'cause I think, 2 electric cars in a household seems a little bit sus, but who knows? Just depends on how many plugs are out there. Okay, that's enough about cars. Lucifer asks, "Have you ever been to the Oscars?" Lucifer, no. Never been to the Oscars. I've been to the Emmys, the daytime Emmys, twice. Never been to the regular Emmys. I've never If you haven't noticed, Hollywood does not embrace me that much, and I don't embrace them that much. So, I'm not fancy enough or interested enough. Actually, I hate award shows, so even if I were invited to the Oscars, I wouldn't go. It is incredibly boring. And you're in a room with a bunch of people who are, just gorgeous and incredibly talented and everything, but you don't know them. You can't go up and talk to them. You're just looky-looing. And for me, it's like going to a strip club, you know? I don't wanna just look and not be able to eat. Is that weird? Is that gross? Did I just say a gross thing? I don't know. No no judgment. Yeah, it's the same, and also it's the same thing with the awards themselves. Like, I don't know. I'm just not that into it. I love looking at the dresses and that's it. All right. MST3K Temple asks, "What was the first convention you attended, either as a fan or a guest?" Good question, MST3K Temple. My first convention was a date, and it was probably in college, so like 2000 or something, and it was a lizard convention. I thought it would be I should have been in Garden State as a character. I was like manic pixie dream date. So, I was like, "Let's go to a lizard show." It was a convention for people with lizards. And then after that, we went to, a staging of a play of Euripides at a local community college. I did not have a second date. So that's a true story. Alrighty? I guess it was too much. Too much. Magic Sparkle asks, "What is your dream vacation?" Oh boy. My dream vacation is this is my dream to go to Europe for like a whole summer, rent a car, and Airbnb my way across Southern Europe. So, Portugal, Spain, south of France, Italy, southern Italy, and Greece. That is my ideal dream, and I really, really want to make it happen next year. I don't think it's going to happen. I can't take 3 months off, but I would love to take 1 month off and do maybe two of those countries, like the boot of Italy and Greece next year. I would also like to drive around Spain because my intention is one day to live there because I'm learning Spanish. My kid's learning Spanish. When she's in middle school, I want to move abroad somewhere and I want to move to a Spanish speaking country. And Spain would be cool because I love Europe, all that. So that's my dream vacation one day. And I also, on the other side of that, I would love to go to Cambodia to see Angkor Wat. Is that right? I want to go to Cambodia and see the ruins, and also Japan to see the Miyazaki theme park and the Super Nintendo theme park. So those are the two. So it's like an Eastern and a Western dream vacation. The killing fields were very depressing. It's true. Cambodia for the ruins. And I would listen to the Fall of Civilizations podcast. And because I'm fascinated, if you listen to that, it really tells you why those they were abandoned, because it was like they were really good at water and then they were really good at running the water through. And then there was a drought. And so basically climate change in a sense ruined pretty much every civilization in the past. It's really fascinating. And we are in the thick of it. And I did read Imaginable, but I am definitely a pessimist when it comes to the future. And I'm like, well, I'm not a pessimist in that the future will happen no matter what. That's a good observation. And the earth will go on. But whether humanity the way we know it is definitely not, I mean, the humanity the way that we know it is not the same as 100 years ago, right? So it's always evolving. But I think because we have such short-lived lives that something that happens within the span of 30 years, it feels like, oh wow, things are really different. Anyway, that is the situation. Okay. And last question. GC Rock No, I'm sorry. GC Rock Which oh boy. What would you say your favorite year or time of your life was? All right, I'm going to be cheesy right now, GC. I think it's now. I really, really believe that it's now. I would say maybe the height of the guild as well, but like looking back on it, the whole of it was wonderful, but Felicia within those time periods was not a happy person. I didn't know how to not be stressed and anxious. All I could do, my one wish, I don't really often want to go, I don't want to go back in time at all because then I wouldn't have my baby and be the person that I am now. But if I had to go back and change one thing about my past, I would have given myself some anti-anxiety drugs in about 2008. That's what I would have done. So, but right now, I really like what the place that I'm at, the people that I'm around, what I'm doing with my life. I love being a mom. I love still being able to do creative things. I love not having the pressure being on as big a stage, and I really am happy. And I force myself to think 10 years in advance because of that book. And I have the similar feeling to then as now. I think I want to live in a foreign country then. I think I would like to be maybe doing some different things, but at the same time, I think I'd be doing a lot of the same things in 10 years if I could. Streaming, writing, podcasting, hosting a little bit. I'd love to do a little more writing my own stuff and acting. If I could be doing the same thing I'm doing now in 10 years, I think I'd be happy. And that's the first time I think I could say that in my life. So yeah. Thank you everybody. So this is Felicitations, maybe out of beta. Will I take it off the title? I haven't decided yet, but I might. I will be back in 1 month with a live, another Felicitations, number 81. I will be uploading an interview with Kat Valenti later this month, and I will be uploading last month's Geeks Book Club pretty soon. So You might have some erratic uploads in the feed for the next month or so as I get everything uploaded, and then that will be pretty regular. It will be, the Geeks Book Club is the week before I do the live felicitations, so there'll be 2 weeks and then a week off and an upload for the interview, and then a week off and then 2 more. So, does that add up to 4 or 5? I don't know how to count. You're gonna get what you get and you're gonna like it. All right, I love you. Bye.